was that the picture from 2016 where you were 126 pounds to 2003 where you were 142 pounds?
Yeah. Yeah. So I went through some phases, but yeah, the 126 was when I was my leanest, when I had my 6-pack. And then I was like, I cut down to what you said was like, I actually didn't have a lot of muscle.
Yeah.
I cut down and there wasn't a lot of muscle there. And I realized, that's right. So I needed to like add the muscle. And so then I did end up going into a bulk. I think that was in like, it's probably 2017, 2018 when I did like my powerlifting competition and like really added. I mean, I got up to like 140. I went from like 126 to like 147, 148. And
Damn.
like really did it.
Yeah.
And then was able to cut back down so that I could get into my weight class for my powerlifting competition. But yeah, bulks are hard mentally and physically, but they're awesome.
Yeah. So all of the things right there that I want to unpack, there's two things mainly. One, I want to get to the scale in a second because obviously a very similar story. I was 140, dropped down to 120, and now I weigh 155. So I want to talk about that number with you. But first, let's talk about that mindset because I know a lot of women that are in the community that I have, WarriorBabe, that we teach bulking, but we teach it in a sense of it is a mental game that you're going to go through. But if you want to build muscle and you have a smaller frame, jumpstart, like accelerate results, right? Put yourself in that phase for a little bit so you can build muscle at an optimal rate. So talk to me about that mindset that you had to endure while you went through that.
Yeah, it's super counterintuitive for most women to intentionally gain weight, right? Like that just blows their mind. Like, why would you actually? Your goal is to have the scale go up. Like that makes no sense.
It goes against all of the last 50 years of Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, all of the things.
That's right. But I think the first thing to break down there, and this kind of gets into that scale mentality, is the reason that blows. Like people just cannot grasp that is because they have taken fat and weight and collapsed the things down together. And they said, if the scale goes up, that means I've gained fat. And if the scale goes down, that means I've lost fat, which is not actually the case. You can lose weight and gain weight without having any fat leave or enter your body. And so when we can start to break that apart and help women to understand that the scale is a data point, it gives us some information, but not a clear picture of what's going on, which is why we include lots of data points, then we can start to separate that idea of like, why would you ever want to add weight? Well, because when I'm adding weight, my goal is not to add fat. My goal is to add muscle. And yes, some fat's going to come along with it. That's the expense of doing a bulk. You're going to hopefully maximize muscle gain and hopefully minimize fat gain, but there's going to be some fat along it. So when you start to understand, oh, you're wanting to add weight on the scale because your goal is to add more muscle, people can start to wrap their head around that process a little bit more of, okay, now I see why you actually wanted to see the scale going up because I wanted to add more muscle to my body.
Yeah. And damn, that picture, guys, definitely check out. We'll have her Instagrams and all the things below the podcast. But that picture was so cool to see. And that like, you're still an athletic figure, right? Like it's not like you gained fat, you gained muscle, and boy, is that muscle present when you're given that flex.